Hi there BookTube, it's Eleanor here, and today I'm doing my February wrap up. At the end of this video I'm also going to mention about my reading plans for March, so if you're interested in that make sure you wait till the end to find out what I plan to read in March. I'm not doing a separate TBR this month and you'll find out the reasons for that at the end. But before we do that, let's talk about how my reading went in February. So in February I had a really good reading month. I read 17 books and I'm really pleased with that. That's way more than I read last month, and it's a real improvement, and I think that is mainly down to the contemporary-athon that I took part in. I really enjoyed it. I was really in the mood for contemporary books and it really pushed me to just read and I really loved it. I really just didn't want to pick up any other sources of media. I didn't want to watch films, I didn't want to watch things on Netflix, I just wanted to pick up my book every evening, and it was just such a joy. So I think that definitely contributed to me managing to read so much. So thank you so much to the Contemporary-athon ladies, because they did a sterling job of organising it and I love it, and I'll definitely be participating every time they do it. So out of those 17 books I read, 5 of those were 3-star reads and a whopping 12 of those were 4-star reads. So it was a pretty average rated month. There was quite a lot of 4 stars, but there was no 5 stars and there were no terrible ones in there. It was just sort of an average reading month. I'm never sure if it's good to have sort of an average where everything is sort of 3 or 4, or to have lots of, you know, 2s and then that one 5-star. I suppose we're all looking for that elusive 5-star read, but yeah, it was an okay month. I didn't read anything that I hated, so that was really good. In terms of where all of these books fit in genre-wise, it was actually quite varied. I read 9 YA books, 1 Western book, 3 SFF books, 1 middle grade book, 1 graphic novel, and 2 adult general fiction books. So as I say, quite a good mix there. Now, when it comes to Bookopoly this month, I did really well. I'm not going to go through all the different money and how it all breaks down. You can find out more about Bookopoly if you watch my announcement video, but I got some big money for participating in the Contemporary-athon. So taking part in a readathon is one of the stations, and you get £2 for taking part and a lovely £5 if you complete the challenges, which I did for Contemporary-athon, which gave me £7 for that, you know, on its own, before talking about the books. Because I read quite a lot of YA, I have now got 2 hotels on my YA squares, so I have completed the YA part of the Monopoly board, and so that means that now if I read a YA book that doesn't fit into any of the other categories like short fiction or SFF, then I'm not going to be getting money. However, I've decided that just like with graphic novels, every graphic novel is sort of pass and go, and you get 5p every time I read a book where I end up getting hotels on all of the properties. Before the end of the year I will get 5p for reading that book, just so that I'm not getting nothing. It will incentivise me hopefully to read some of the other genres, but I think I don't want to turn myself off and say, well, you've got the hotels now, you can't read any more YA, because I think that would be silly, and I have a lot of YA in my shelves. So yeah, I don't want to completely turn myself off from that, so a little 5p incentive I think will be really good. I also completed one of the read a book over 500 pages, which was Lonesome Dove, and so for that I will be getting £5, because that is what you get when you do a book over 500 pages and choose to use the tax square. So in total, adding up all the different things that I got this month, I have got £22 and 6p to put into my Bookopoly jar, so I'm very excited about that. So let's talk about the books. First I'll tell you the 3-star reads. Revolution of Ivy, If There's No Tomorrow, Turtles All the Way Down, The Stranger Game, and The Miseducation of Cameron Post. And now for the 4 stars. The Nowhere Girls, The Book of Ivy, Lonesome Dove, Moxie, Our Dark Duet, All's Fair in Middle School, Truth Witch, Dating You, Hating You, The First Time She Drowned, The Cruel Prince, Queens of Geek, Misfit City Volume 1. So that's all the books that I read this month. I had a really good reading month, as I said, and I'm hoping that March will continue in this way. Now for March I'm going to be taking part in a month-long readathon, so it will class So it will count towards one of my stations for participating in a readathon, but being a month-long one, I think it will really fit into what I've got going on at the moment with my reading. So it's the Emojiathon, which I really enjoy, and I will link down below all the details if you want to take part. This time they've also done an Emojiathon bingo board, which has 25 squares with all the different emojis on. So I'm going to endeavour to do the bingo board. The reason I really liked this is after looking at the emojis and the prompts for that, they really fit in well with my BookTube SFF reading. I really want to get as much of that under my belt this month because I've got quite a lot to read, and in some cases some books that come before, if it's the third book in a series and I haven't read any of the series, in order to catch up and get those books read. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some of the books that I'm going to be reading, but I haven't finalised my TBR for it yet because I do want to leave it a little bit open to how I'm feeling on a whim. So firstly, Dylan's pick, which is the taco, and his pick, each of the people that are hosting the readathon have picked like their own book as one of the emojis. So Dylan's is We Are the Ants by Shaun David Hutchinson. I have that on my shelf. I've wanted to read it for ages, so I'm definitely going to be trying to get to that. There is Read a Book That You Haven't Read Yet and Don't Know Why, and for that I'm going to read The Bear and the Nightingale because that is a book that's on the SFF Awards as it's in our debut novel category. Next is Read a Mental Illness Book, and for that I'm going to read What to Say Next. I've had this on my shelf for a while and it's really calling to me at the moment, so I'm hoping that I will get to that this month. Next is Read a Book That Involves Sport, and for that I'm going to be reading the graphic novel Roller Girl. It's written by the same author who wrote All's Fair in Middle School, which I really enjoyed this month, so I'm looking forward to getting to that. Next is Read a Road Trip Book or a book that features travel. I have wangled this a bit. It said a book that features travel. I'm going for Collapsing Empire by John Scalzi. This is a science fiction book set in space. There's bound to be some sort of space travel going on, and it's one of the SFF Award nominated books, so I really want to get to that. Next is Buddy Read a Book. Well, I am running the March read along for The Dreadful Tale of Prosper Redding, which is in the middle grade category for the SFF Awards, and so I'm going to count that as buddy reading because I will be buddy reading it with anybody that wants to over on our Goodreads group for that, so check that out if you want to participate as well, but I class that as quite a large buddy read. Next is Brittany's book pick, which is The Glass Castle by Jeannette Walls. I'm not sure if I'm going to be reading this. I'm almost positive I haven't got it on my shelf, so that is one that has currently got a question mark by it. Next is Read a Book That You Are Cautious to Start, so a book out of your comfort zone, and for this I'm thinking of Kings of the Wild by Nicholas Eames. This is on the SFF Awards as well, and it is meant to be kind of a bit of a fantasy with a humour in. They don't normally sit well for me, so it is out of my comfort zone, so we shall see. Next is Read a Non-Fiction Book. Well, the Welcome Book Prize long list has come out and I will be reading Behave for my part of the books that I plan to read before the shortlist are out. This is a humongous book. It's not an audiobook. I'm quite scared, so I will be trying to get to as much of that as I can this month. Next up is to read a diverse book, and for that I've picked Stay With Me. Again, another book that I've wanted to read for a while, and so now is about time. Next is a listen to an audiobook. I'm going to be listening to City of Brass. This is again in the debut fiction category for the SFF Awards, so fits nicely in with trying to get as many of those as read as possible. Next is to read a book that's been adapted, and I haven't picked which one I'm going to go for yet. I've got a few on my shelves to pick from, but I'm just going to wait and see how I feel nearer the time. There's a square for a freebie to read any book you want. I will be keeping that as a freebie and not deciding until I decide. Next is a fantasy book, and for that I'm either going to read Red Sister or Witchwood, both of which are nominated in the BookTube SFF Awards. Next is to read an ebook. I'm not sure what I'm going to do here. I've got lots of ebooks to choose from, so I'll see how I get on because I am trying to get through physical books, so that might be one that I leave pretty much to the end. Next is to read a book that everyone's been telling you to read. There's quite a few of those, so I'm going to wait on that one and decide nearer the time. There's read a book that you've started and haven't finished, and I'm going to be choosing Wind Witch for that. I've started it in February and so I'm going to finish it in March. I'm not sure that that was what the prompt was meant, but that's how I'm going to do it. And so I will be finishing Wind Witch. Again, it's nominated in the SFF Awards. There is Read a Book That's Older Than You. I'll be deciding that one later in the month. You've got to read Jay's book pick, which is Keep Her Safe by K.A. Tucker. I'm yet to decide whether I'm going to read that one. It would involve going to book jail because I would have to buy it, so we shall see. Next is Read a Book That You've Never Heard of Before, or read an indie author / unknown author. I haven't decided what I'm going to go for that one yet. And then there's Read a Sci-Fi Book. I'm going to read Born by Jeff Vandermeer. Again, this is on the BookTube SFF Awards. Read a mystery thriller. I haven't decided yet. Read a book with your favourite colour on the cover. I haven't decided yet. Read a smutty new adult book. I haven't decided yet. And read Chelsea's book pick, The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. I'd really like to read this. I thought I had it on my shelf, but now it transpires that maybe I don't, so maybe that's one to go to book jail for, I don't know. But all of those ones that I haven't got physical books picked out for yet are going to be bottom priority. So the top priority is the ones that I have already picked books for, mainly the SFF award books, which I really need to get through as many as I can over this month and next month. So that is what I plan for March. Are you going to be doing Emojiathon? Are you leaving yours a bit open, or have you already decided exactly what books you're going to be reading? Let's chat as always in the comments down below, and I look forward to speaking to you soon. Bye for now, BookTube.